right, but now we are live.
Wonderful.
Welcome back. Actually, hold on. Pause. Can I have you come in a little bit better? I'm sorry. You can bring your footrest with you.
I think I am doing that today. We're chilling today. I got a couple days before work, so I'm chilling.
I developed a philosophy when I was going through chemotherapy because I started wearing slippers to chemotherapy anytime I went. And people are like, why do you insist on wearing slippers, even when it's cold out or whatever?
Yeah.
I was like, because if somebody isn't paying me to be uncomfortable, I'm going to be as comfortable as I can be.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Anyway, welcome back. My name is Justin Kubek. With me I have
Rico Camacho.
And of course, before we get started, I'm going to ask you to click subscribe and like that video. It is important. It really helps us grow and do more things with the channel. Before we dive in, of course, the 988 Lifeline. Whether you're facing mental health struggles, emotional distress, alcohol or drug use concerns, or just need someone to talk to, their caring counselors are here for you. You are not alone. Call, text, or chat anytime. What's the number again, Rico?
988 Lifeline.
All right. And for our event this week,
we're doing night market. This sounds like fun at Franksville Craft Beer Garden. Come support Coronas at this free event. So Justin will be there.
Yeah, this will be my first vendor trade show.
And I think that would be a lot of fun. And we are in Wisconsin and there will be beer. So 4 to 9 p.m. and enjoy drinks and shopping from 70 artists, makers, vintage curators, and pop-up boutiques. I was going to say creators. When you look at this sheet, it looks like creative if you look at it quick. But curators and pop-up boutiques. So actually, that sounds like fun. Where is it? Where's Franksville?
Franksville is like west of Oak Creek. It's
okay.
20-25 minute drive from here. Not too
far. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited to actually get out into the trade show world, and this actually sounds like a really fun event regardless.
So what will you be having there?
What do you mean?
Like what? So it's a vendor event. So people are outside enjoying drinks and shopping, as it says.
Yeah.
What are you going to be having there?
So I'll have my full array of Coronas products. We'll have both Kindred products, the beard oil, shave cream, and beard wash. And then we'll also have my line of books, the Book of Marks, which is a 20-page book with full pages of art and a perforated bookmark on each page.
So Book of Marks is not like a story you're going to read, it's bookmarks.
Yes.
See, yeah, we've got to make sure we understand that. A book of bookmarks.
I keep on reminding, yes.
Okay.
There's an English teacher joke in my head that I can't put into words. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm an English teacher, so I probably wouldn't laugh anyway.
No, that's why it was funny.
Oh.
Anyway.
We are not comedians, so let's start there. No professional mental health professionals, but yes.
I am precisely as funny as I mean to be.
That's fair.
All right. For today's topic, I wanted to talk about how people can express themselves and their mental health needs in a healthy way, and what that means in both a sending and receiving fashion, right?
Right.
The two-way street.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting dynamic because human relationship is by far one of the most studied concepts, I feel. And I'm going to actually go off on a little bit of a tangent.
We don't do that here.
Never. So I've been dealing a lot with, I talk to a lot of constituents, as most of you know. I'm an alderman with the city. And one of the biggest issues we have in the city currently is the closing of potentially 4 schools. And I went to one of the meetings, and I do not, I don't know what this is, but I'll say subscript, I am not affiliated with the school board in any way, shape, or form. The city of Waukesha and the school board are separate entities. Yes, we work together as a cohesive, collaborative, organization, but we are separate. So anything I say is not on behalf of the school board because I'm not part of the school board. Anything I say here is not on behalf of the city either, but my experiences shared, I think, help shed a light on mental health because that is a big part of what we're going on with the city.
Of course, but to reiterate, yes, this is coming from your personal capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I went to a meeting sharing experiences where 2 school board members were present. And I think it was the director of finance was in my group and the superintendent. And, one of the biggest things that was a takeaway is we have to close these schools, or it's in the best interest of the city to close these schools because there's a loss of enrollment. Okay. I believe it's been 2% since 2014. So we've lost 22% enrollment in the last few years. Now, is that there is a correlation with COVID. Now, some kids are online. We still have some Catholic schools and private schools, but those have actually gone down in enrollments in a lot of regards as well. So across the country, we've dealt with this issue. Now, what they're saying, well, the big takeaway was people aren't having kids anymore.
Mhm.
Okay. So what does that mean as far as communication goes? What does people not having kids have to do with communication? Our divorce rates are up. Our people who are not staying together are up. And I do believe in an agreement with everything that's going on. There's a lot of communication imbalances. And I think we have this pop culture, again, my opinion, because when I'm out talking to people and whatever, and I see these wonderful couples out, right? Like at restaurants, bars, whatever, and talking to them and getting to know them, they say they don't want kids because they want to feel free.
Mhm.
And, I put out a post recently on my personal Facebook about the plethora of emotions that I'm going through with my oldest, dropping him off 3 hours away at lacrosse. My house feels different, and it's, excitement, pride, extreme sadness, extreme nostalgia. It's tough, right? And I've been to Niagara Falls. I've been to the Sistine Chapel. I've been all over the world and I've traveled. I went to the Dominican Republic like once a month and saw the first church ever built in the Western Hemisphere. So like I've seen some stuff that is pretty cool, right? I've seen whales, dolphins, none of these things. And I still haven't seen the Hanging Gardens or any of the seven wonders of the world other than Niagara Falls. It is a wonder, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. So I have seen one that none of that would compare to the emotions I feel with my oldest leaving for college. Nothing. And so it's interesting to see how these people feel kids burden them when, from my perspective, they liberate. And so I feel that we have this pop culture mentality that, in order to feel free, you need to go meditate at the top of a mountain. I know we've brought that up in other episodes, but it's interesting to bring it back because it has resonated even further. Now I'm starting to hear from other people. Oh my God, yeah, I keep hearing that people aren't having kids. And the reason I think it's becoming more of a magnified issue is because it's hitting home. They're closing schools. Now, one of the things about the United States culture that we have is our school system is our social outlet. We don't hang out with our neighbors as much. We have proms, homecomings, football games, basketball games, soccer games. I got to put a plug for soccer in there, even though they're not that popular. But still, you have these events, these social events for the kids. And, so not going to school puts a big hindrance on our social, emotional well-being. And going back to communication, how we communicate. And I know we've mentioned this multiple times, all relationships are a mirror of something about us. And if we don't want to face ourselves, well, then we're not going to face others. And on top of that, if you do sit on a mountain and meditate and all of a sudden this awakening comes, it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't. However, you'll end up getting mad when somebody ticks you off, when you go back down to the human experience, as we'll say. So, as I found with communication, I think that lack of communication and finding different ways to not only express your needs, but just express the way you feel, or just sometimes having a good old fashioned conversation that doesn't involve typing or a social media.
Yeah.
And going into, I think that that's going to change our society because it brings us back to that human connection, which is quite literally hurting us as a species, because everybody is going through this. Everybody around, I even think China has lifted their 2-child ban. So now you can have 3 or 4 kids. And this is a country with 1 billion people. They're also understanding the need for people. People need people to survive.
Yeah.
Like we all have different skills and everything like that. So as I went
on that note, and just to offer a counter perspective to you,
love it.
Is and this situation unfortunately hits home for me, as you're aware.
Mm-hmm.
And My wife and I would love to have kids.
Love that.
Because of my cancer treatment, it probably isn't going to happen for us. And because of the access to various healthcare in the state, I won't be able to get IVF services covered by my insurance company. And my work doesn't offer other insurance plans that would cover that for me. Whereas if I was living in a state like Illinois or Minnesota, that would be accessible.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I think it's a various dynamic because that's another argument. Not only the free, well, not even, I wouldn't even say another argument. I'm going to say yes and. The reason is because that freedom concept, one of the concepts that people bring up is money. It is expensive to have kids.
Well, I was going to say that's the second point that I wanted to
right.
is the cost of living. You know, my wife and I are struggling to support ourselves in the 2-bedroom apartment that we have. You know, to bring a kid into this world wouldn't exactly be fair to them, considering we're struggling to support ourselves as it is. The cost of living being astronomical. You know, I have a very respectable job. I'm not sitting around. I'm not working part-time when I could be working full-time. I'm not on any government benefits or anything like that.
And even if you were, who cares at this point? Because, right. I mean, I agree from the perspective of the inflation rising faster than salaries at an astronomical rate. Like, astronomical rate. That was not a cuss word. I said astronomical. Okay. So he doesn't have to bleep that out. But I feel like I agree with you there. So it's not even a counter. It's a point. Yeah. It's that falls into the concept of freedom. So you don't feel financially free. Yeah. So how are you going to do it? That's what I mean, because these couples are like, I want to be able to travel whenever I want. I want to be able to afford a 4-bedroom apartment. Or like, I know that I spoke to this person once, and then I went to their apartment complex. Beautiful apartment complex. It had an indoor pool and the whole nine. Still like $3,000 a month. And I'm like, wow, that's expensive. Like, my mortgage is less than that. That's crazy. You know, but then to buy a house in today's market, I mean, you have to, stand up.
You need a 6-figure household income.
No, it's worse than that. Yes, and you need to be able to stand on your head and do upside down push-ups. Trust me, my parents just went through buying a home. And, like, I remember when I bought my home, they wanted, like, medical records from 2011. I was like, what do you need that for?
Well, and to kind of bring this back to your original point here, talking about the schools closing down, in a certain way, the schools here are almost like the canary in the coal mine.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of things that are going to start not happening if we don't have the people to support those systems. And if we don't fix this issue relatively soon, it's really going to turn into a problem 10, 15 years.
Well, and it's interesting you bring that up because the only way I think we start to fix this problem is encouraging people somehow, financially or not, to have kids. Because you can't have, like, we've had labor shortages in certain areas. And so with that being said, it's very difficult for us to manage all of the things that need to get done so that we can continue to live as a human species.
I am curious to see if there is a correlation between industries and employers that are complaining about lack of workers and industries and employers that only offer sub-poverty level wages.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
Because I would be willing to bet that there is no labor shortage. There is simply a wage shortage.
I've heard both. Again, there's no numbers or data on this one yet. I mean, we could find it if we needed to, but
I'm sure it's out there. If you have a link, drop it in the comments.
That would be fantastic. Because I feel like the labor, whatever the issue is with labor, because it's probably a yes and it's probably both. Because we don't, like, again, we're closed. So let's talk about labor from the perspective of the closing schools. We're closing schools simply because we don't have enough kids. Well, what do kids equal? They equal $1 for every single, the state and all of our taxes. There's a certain amount of money that goes into each student that enrolls with the school that you're at, right? So if we're going down, 2% a year, Yeah, right now they're only concerned about attrition, which means like people retiring or quitting or moving or whatever. So they haven't had to cut teachers. But if it continues to go down 2% in the next 10 to 15 years, now you're talking about a 40 to 50% decrease. You're going to have to start cutting people.
Right. Well, and then those people that we're worried about right now in school are going to be entering the workforce, and there's going to be a much smaller labor force. Then I think we'll truly see a labor shortage where we won't have a wage shortage because we won't have the population to back the necessities of society.
Well, and it's an interesting concept because it goes back to even coming full circle to what we're talking about is communication. The only way we interact is through communication. And one thing you and I talked about even with before the show, I don't know if you're going to put any of that in, but one of the things is how you express yourself is something that I believe people need to understand. That's where the meditating on top of a mountain is, I call it, because when I'm interacting with somebody, there's very, very few people on this planet that trigger me. But those few people are the people I am closest to. For example, my mother, right? Everybody loves my mother. She's brilliant.
Wait, don't talk bad about her before we bring her on the show.
I can't talk bad about her. She's my mother. This is not talking bad. This is venting. There's a difference.
All right.
Mom knows the difference.
Wait, hold on. What's the title of today? Expressing your mental health needs in a healthy way.
Exactly. So mom gets it. Mom's a therapist. But no, but actually on the beneficial side, I've learned how every time my mother triggers me, it's about me, which then ticks me off more because then I know it's about me, but then I have to go literally and deal with my own stuff. And then I can talk to her.
Right.
And then it's very much more constructive and helpful. But I got to first recognize what's going on with me, right? My kids, don't get me going on them. Like, they trigger me more than anybody else. And I'm only going with the basic people here. But there's a couple people that out there that I am super close to that just trigger me. But those few people are the people I'm like, son of a sea dog. I use other words generally. But, like, I guess I love them. Because they're the only people that help me reflect on what I need to do to grow. And that is directly on the communication, I can tell you. And then it's worrying about the disappointment or their lack of. If I were to say, I need you to clean your room. My kids, obviously not. Justin doesn't need to clean their room. Well, I mean, he can clean his room if he wants to.
Do we need to clean my room?
He needs to clean his room. All right.
Hand on laundry.
See, there you go. But I'm not going to yell at him because it's his room. I don't care. But my daughter's room, oh yeah, I'm coming after my daughter today, is I'll tell her to clean her room. Sure, Dad, she's in the preteen stage, right? And as most of you guys know, I do this alone. So grown man dealing with a teenage daughter. Whoo! Yeah, yeah.
Is that some gray hairs?
Oh, what do you mean, God? Some? They tripled in the last year. So, yes, Dad, I'll do it. I hope I did that attitude justice, but, because she is a mini-me. And I'm like, all right. So I'm let her do her thing, whatever. It's still not done, right? Now I'm getting elevated. How do I express that my daughter needs to clean her room? So one thing I've done.
Speaking of elevated.
Yeah, I'm already getting elevated. So you can feel it. So one thing I've done is then she'll do something which is really funny to me, and I laugh. A bug or a spider or something is in her room, and I'm like, well, I wonder why, because it's not clean, right? So she'll ask me to kill it, and I'll say, under one condition: you clean your room, because that's the way it does. So it's a natural consequence to what she does. Now, I don't go after her when I'm elevated, because even here, you saw me getting elevated because I'm thinking about her room being messy right now, because we're moving rooms because my oldest is going to college or whatever. But it's still like, eats my soul. Like, how, and then the attitude. Like, see, this is almost therapeutic for me talking to the camera right now. Like,
we've talked about that in the past before. This show is just as much for us.
Oh God! Well, it comes back to even me and why I do this. But like, oh my God! So, but then learning patience. Sometimes you don't get what you want immediately, and that, as a United States society, is something I think we could work on. But that is something like, I should clean your room 10 minutes ago.
Actually, practicing delayed gratification is, I think, one of the fundamental flaws in American society, but that is a whole other.
That's episode whatever we're on. I don't even know.
We don't number them anymore.
Oh, we don't number them. Never mind. The next
Not-
episode
yeah.
that I'll say is
Oh,
delayed.
wait, no, I do number them when I post them.
That's what I thought. Delayed gratification.
I think this is going to be 12.
Interesting.
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway, so where did I lost my? Okay. So I just feel like when it comes to even communication for me, dealing with my kids who I know trigger me. Now, 99% of the time, we have a blast in my house. We do. We have loud music. We get along literally perfectly. So these triggers are not a daily thing. But that goes back to what I was talking about in communication and why we don't have kids. Because I think the few times that our husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, significant others as a whole trigger us, we sometimes think there's an easy out that, oh, I just don't need to deal with that. I just need to be alone and work on myself. If I had a dime for every time I heard that, I'd be a millionaire. And I kid you not. I shouldn't date right now. I need to work on myself. Like, the best way to work on yourself is to understand the triggers people come at you with. And again, I even go, like, even absent parents. Let's not even go with romantic relationships. Absent parents. When you run away from your kids, which I've seen, and we've all seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Whoo, baby.
All right. Technical difficulties. We're getting good at them now.
The
Actually.
way
I keep surprising myself in new ways each time.
best way to be, surprise yourself.
Right. Well, and as we've tried to say, this is definitely a topic we need to return to. We got a little sidetracked today, but it happens. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.
We will. Thank you so much.